Thank you very much, Mamta. You have made a beautiful introduction to me. I do not know how much I deserve it, but I appreciate your introduction. Welcome to all attendees, Rotarians, teachers, parents, and youth. Special mention of attendees from outside Pune district and also from other countries. Thanks to the District Literacy Committee and the Teacher Support Committee, and also the technical support which is given by my colleagues over here for making this webinar feasible today. Let me begin with a short prayer. I request you all to join. O Lord, like the tree yearns for sunlight, guide us, the attendees of this webinar, to yearn for the light of knowledge. To yearn for the light of knowledge. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you for joining. Rotarians will be familiar with the term Rotary Positive Peace. मला एक सांगावंसं वाटतं की हा जो वेबिनार आहे तो मी थोडासा इंग्लिशमध्ये आणि मध्ये मराठीत पण बोलणार आहे. आपले जे अटेंडीज आहेत त्याच्यातले साधारणपणे 10-15% हे फक्त मराठीच जाणतात, तेव्हा त्यांच्यासाठी मध्ये मराठी बोलीन. बाकीच्यांना इंग्लिश मराठी दोन्ही येतं. Partly I'll talk in Marathi for the benefit of 10 or 15% attendees who know only Marathi. The rest of them know both Marathi and English. So where necessary, I will translate into Marathi, otherwise I'll speak in English. Most of you may be familiar with the concept of Rotary Positive Peace. And one of the pillars of Rotary Positive Peace is economic engagement of youth. I have simplified the concept of Rotary Positive Peace in this particular diagram called Holistic Human Development and Positive Peace Efforts of Rotary. If you see, this is tracing on the x-axis the life, you can say life cycle or life of every person. And this is the extent of that particular growth that should take place. The first milestone should be that of good values as an infant or a child up to age 6 years. If we do not provide those, then the child can become spoiled. The positive peace efforts of Rotary in this is through the Interact clubs. Then we have education and empowerment, where we do a lot of support towards education. Teach is the biggest example which we are talking about. And this should lead to positively to work and enterprise for the youth, and for which we do a lot of support for youth to skill them. Then it goes on to family supports, where the person, where we do for women and children. Then world as a family, where we do a lot of community service, harmony with nature, the next step of development, where we have the new focus area of environment. Unfortunately, if these positive steps are not given by people like us to the youth or the people in the society, then they also go to negative. If the child doesn't have good values, he becomes a spoiled child. If he doesn't have education and empowerment, he becomes ill-trained and misfit to the society. If he does not have work or enterprise, he becomes unemployed and often takes to crime. And like that, this degradation keeps continuing. All this normally leads to a lot of conflicts in the society, sometimes even between two communities, apart from two families. But here also Rotary does a lot of positive work by offering what are called Rotary Peace Fellowships, which are here, which are studies in peace and conflict resolution. So the whole effort, as you can see, of Rotary is to take actions such that conditions for peace are established in the society. Today we are focusing on a very small segment of it, which is supporting education and growing local economies, for which we are designing this enterprise education awareness session. Unfortunately, the global crisis of Corona has shrunk the economic sectors and led to a lot of rising unemployment. There's a great need to reimagine education and the skills education that we give to children now. We all know that a well-engaged youth is a healthy condition for a peaceful society. And that is what we are striving for through this enterprise education awareness webinar. The vision of enterprise education then is to provide an opportunity for every school-going child to develop an enterprising mindset. Let me inform you that when I was doing this worldwide study of schools in which enterprise education is taught, I found that when the child passes out of high school, he has already prepared some kind of business plan, which serves as a kind of foundation for him. It's like a basic life skill. It's not expected that whatever business plan he has done is the business he will get into, but at least he knows all the elements of preparing a business plan. So every child, apart from his school certificate or whatever it is, secondary or higher secondary, will also have prepared a business plan during his stay at school. So the vision of enterprise education, which we are trying to propagate now, is to provide an opportunity for every school-going child to develop an enterprising mindset. Why do we need that? We'll see later. This enterprise education, to broadly understand, is divided into two: enterprise education concepts and enterprise education skills. Please remember these two words: concepts of enterprise education and skills of enterprise education. There are vocational skills also, but enterprise education skills are linked to also aptitudes that a person should have for being entrepreneurial. But will every person who does enterprise education in our school become an entrepreneur? Not necessarily. He can also be an entrepreneur, which means if he's employed, then he's still enterprising in the way he approaches his work. That is entrepreneurship, apart from being an entrepreneur on his own. Just to give you a brief idea about my own background, I'm a BTech from IIT Madras and a Master of Engineering from Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, with a PhD in enterprise education. Mamta has already told about my 17 years industrial experience. I would like to specially say that since 1993, I am secretary of a Development Education International Society, a small NGO in Pune. Through this NGO, we did some initial exchange of thoughts and got a lot of knowledge from EDII Ahmedabad, which is the Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India in Ahmedabad. That is where I had met Dr. Chandramouli Pathak, who is going to be speaking to us later. And then later on, we developed them into Udyog Sadhana, radio programmers of enterprise education, along with technical consultancy organizations, centers for entrepreneurship development in the various states, and with the guidance of EDII Ahmedabad. We also did what are called enterprise file TV spots. In those days when we were working, the government was very favorable to radio and TV being used for development purposes. And that is why we were able to have a great success. We generated almost 85,000 audience respondees, out of which we were able to document 10,000 successful converts into from unemployment to self-employment. As I've already mentioned, we have done international research in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, USA, UK, Germany. You'll be happy to learn that this research, somehow it reached the ears of Honorable President APJ Abdul Kalam. And when he was in Pune, when he was visiting Pune, he specially asked the collector he wants to meet this particular small NGO. I was not there in Pune at that time. I was in Lucknow for some work. But my wife, Netra, you can see over there, and our senior trustee and current chairman, Mr. SP Ranade, they visited and met him in Pune. And he said just 3 words: God bless you. For us, it was the greatest, let's say, recognition of whatever we were striving for. We also got associated with PSS Central Institute of Vocational Education in CRT MHRD, Government of India, Bhopal. It is represented by Dr. V.S. Mehrotra, who will be having a preliminary talk with us today. They have included the recommendation of this enterprise education into guidelines for implementation of work education programs in school. Most of the research of this enterprise education was done at Maharashtra Bank of Self-Employment Training Institute, MCETI, in Hadapsar, Pune. It is represented by Mr. S.M. Nanal. He was supposed to have logged in. I'm just waiting for him. Then about the entrepreneurship movement in India, later on Dr. Chandramouli Pathak ji will be talking to us. Enterprise education awareness for teachers in Nepal was held in June 2019. We have also invited Dr. Partibeshwar Timilsina, a very great educationist from Nepal. He'll be talking about how entrepreneurship education is being done in Nepal. And just for information, under a UNDP program, I was lucky to visit the Arab region, Morocco, Algeria, Sudan, Syria, Jordan, where I taught the same enterprise education to youth over there. And under a UNDP Department of Science and Technology program, this enterprise education was taken for teachers all over the country. The SSC HSC board of the government of Maharashtra included this subject as a part of personality development in the curriculum. Now comes the crucial point. Why are we at all talking about all this? What you are seeing just now on the slide, okay. What you are just now seeing on the slide is a pie chart of employment in India, but it could also be representative of what it might be in some of the other countries. The statistic is old, but when I checked out the latest data, I found that the percentages are the same. Of the total work, people qualified to work in India, the total people, public sector, which is government, central and state, employs only 3%, this blue sector over here. And this yellow sector, but the big private sector, employs only about 1% of that workforce. Major part of the workforce is this green part, agriculture, main workers, then self-employed cultivators, and these non-farm workers, almost 50%, as you can see. Then there is this pink one, which is the registered unemployed with the government of India, which is about 7%. And India has got a huge percentage, 41%, which is not economically engaged. This includes housewives, many of whom are very good housewives, and they do fantastic work. Many times we don't value it. But there are some who have not reported their unemployment to the government. But for the sake of argument, let us say that 7% was the state of unemployment. Now I'm going to show you something very shocking. The next slide. This 7%, you can see, which was just hovering here, like this, 7%, 7 to 8%, suddenly shot up to about 23%, 3 times, because of the coronavirus lockdowns. Suddenly 3 times. Now, this is not a phenomena which is only associated with India. Everywhere it has happened. All over the world, unemployed percentage has increased almost 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, whatever it was before the coronavirus struck us. This is a global problem. All our previous norms of economic employment are getting shattered. I was fortunate to listen to a lecture by a management consultant from UK the other day. Fortunately, due to these webinars, we can hear to anybody and everybody in all over the world. And she said there are some 2 or 3 important points. One is that workplaces will not be the same. Once you go back, they'll not be the same. The changes are going to be drastic, just like after a flood or after a cyclone or after a typhoon. When you go back to your homes or village, you find that everything has changed. The landmarks which you knew once existed do not exist. Same thing is going to happen in the economic scenario. Things are going to drastically change. The organizations will no longer be very hierarchical. They might become very flat. Due to disturbances in global supply chains, everything is not bleak. Local entrepreneurship opportunities will grow. Wow. The challenge is for us people to prepare our youth for that challenge. So while the things look bleak today, this also has thrown up a great opportunity for future. Before I proceed ahead, I just want to show you one more slide and then one more thing. I'm going to stop this particular give me just about half a minute to change my presentation. Okay, you are seeing here a orange funnel. This is the funnel of education system. It is showing India, but it could be valid for many other developing countries. In India, almost about 2 crore children get added to the education system every year. Then along the horizontal, they go through primary stage, secondary stage, and that funnel keeps reducing as they keep on dropping out of the system, and then higher education. And unfortunately, the whole system is designed that if you keep on going through our system, one day you will find a job in what is called as the organized sector. But we have just seen that the organized sector is hardly 4 to 5% of the total economy. And the increase in the organized sector is very minimal, very minimal. In fact, it is shrinking. So if I show it to you as an animation, this is how it goes. You can see this children dropping out of the school system at various stages and getting into the other sectors which are over here. This is agricultural employment, the green one. The brown one is self-employed and small enterprises. And a small number only can get employed into the organized sector. A huge chunk keeps falling into the unemployment bracket. And they are becoming unemployed, not because they are not educated, but because they are ill-trained now. They got education in a wrong direction, thinking that they'll get employment here. Well, the employment is more in these, where you need more of vocational skills. Perhaps you need more of agricultural skills, which get ignored in our educational system. I am making this offhand statements. You can, as an educationist, definitely challenge me on that, and I'll be very happy and open to statistics. But this is the current situation. That was even before Corona. Now, what has happened? This particular bucket, which I'm showing with my cursor, has suddenly increased 3 times. Unemployment bucket. Suddenly it has gone up 3 times. And what has decreased? This has become very minimal now, the organized sector. You wouldn't be surprised if next year the graduates who come out will not get any jobs because there are no jobs left. Small scale industry, many of my friends are saying they've had a cut down by almost 30%, 40% in the amount of work they can do. So they have to reduce the workforce by that. Agriculture sector is not yet affected, fortunately. That is where some hope still lies. And I'm told that PSSCIB Bhopal is identifying new skills for agriculture. So you will realize that a lot of new skills are required to be able to stand on one's feet in the next coming 4 or 5 years. And one of the skills is going to be enterprise education. Now, to understand what is enterprise education, I'm going to show you the chart of a brain. Here are lobes of the brain, you can see. This is called a frontal lobe. This is a parietal lobe. This is called temporal lobe. This is called occipital lobe, and this is called cerebellum. I just have a quick question to the participants over here. If you would like to hazard a guess as to what is the function of the frontal lobe? What is the main function? Can you hazard a guess? And if you have an answer, just put it in the chat box. And Sanjeev, you can let me know if anybody has given an answer. In fact, yeah. If anybody would like to hazard an answer, wonderful. Mrudula Adavadkar has said thinking and decision. Beautiful. Mrudula, hats off. Very good. Good. And Harshada has said concentration. And Balasaheb Kanade says taking decisions. Okay, good. Good efforts. Good. Somebody, okay. Mrudula says I'm a teacher. That's why she knows it. And Agarwal says, can you just read Agarwal's thing? What you said in the chat, it's just gone away from here. Okay. But largely thinking. Thank you very much. I'm so happy. Most of you have got it right. Thank you very much. Similarly, there are other functions, but I will now go. Okay. So you were right. Whoever had said that in frontal area is thinking. So frontal area is thinking. And in that, there is a section which is devoted only to memory. Of course, these demarcations are not physical. That means you cannot go into the brain and there's a department which says memory, department which says thinking. This is just roughly what I have heard from medical friends of mine. Then these two slices over here, they deal with what are called motor functions and sensory functions. Then there is a small thing which is inside the brain here, which deals with auditory area or the hearing. This is speech area. This is intellectual area, correlation area. I'll go to what they are later. Vision. आपण मराठी लोकांसाठी मी पटकन सांगू इच्छितो की आता आपण जे बघितलं की देशामध्ये बेरोजगारी खूप वाढलेली आहे कोरोनामुळे. खूप लोकचे जॉब्स गेलेले आहेत, नोकऱ्या गेलेल्या आहेत, कारण सगळं सिस्टमच बदलून गेलेलं आहे. तर त्याच्याकरता आपल्याला उद्योजकीय काही गोष्टी माहिती पाहिजे आणि त्याच्याकरता आपण हा वेबिनार घेतोय. ते घेण्याकरता आपण ब्रेनचे फंक्शन्स काय आहेत ते अंडरस्टँड करतोय फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ माय मराठी ऑडियन्स. नाव there's one pet question which I have got, and I again request some of the audience members to respond. Right now, if you focus only up to school education up to 10th standard, in this brain functions, which function of the brain is exercised to a good extent and for a good purpose? Is it memory? Is it thinking? Is it motor areas? Is it auditory, intellectual area, speech area? Can somebody answer? Ashutosh says memory. Rahul, mostly just the memory. Akshay says that. Anita, Kaulgud, mostly memory. Ravindra Poddar, memory. Bala Sahib Kanade, memory. Oh my God. Yeah. Let me tell you that you people are not off the answer. I've done this as a countrywide survey. And 80 to 90% give the same answer. So with this answer in our mind, let us go to the next slide. This diagram therefore says that conventional education is largely focused on memory, at least up to SSC. There's nothing wrong in that. Why is it like that in India? Because in India, education started 10,000 years ago when nobody else was even civilized perhaps. And that time education was memory based because there was no written words. So everything had to be committed to memory. I had visited a Ved Pathshala and the children there were just putting it to memory. They were learning of the Sanskrit Upanishads and Vedas by heart. That was our method of education. There's nothing wrong in that. But that is a conventional education we have continued with. Then we have got this sensory motor area and this balance and rhythm area, which is normally the vocational education or skill education. The rest of the area which has got left out, the yellow section, is functions which we are trying to say that under enterprise education, we'll try to exercise them. I'm not saying that current education does not exercise them, but we'll exercise them more. I think about 15 years back, I had read a study which said that every child is born enterprising. Now, do you like that statement? Everyone is born an enterprising person, everyone. But due to our control on the children, our efforts to make them learn only what we want, not allowing them to experiment with anything, not allowing them to ask any questions, not allowing them to do anything other than what we are telling them, that entrepreneurship quality of the children from 100% comes down to as low as about 10% to 5%. I'm sure that now, since I read that study, things have changed because now we have got the project method in school education and things are improving. And so obviously this chart will again go up. I'm very positive about that. But it's just a point to be noted. So under enterprise education, what do we plan to do? So in thinking, what we are saying is that let us teach the children different thinking skills. What are those thinking skills? They are strategic thinking, creative thinking, abstract thinking, critical thinking, analytical thinking. I'm not planning to go into the detail of it today in the awareness webinar. This is what we will discuss in detail if you people join the further sessions. These skills are required not just in being enterprising, for anything and everything. But in enterprise education, we have devised our exercises such that they will exercise these various skills. Then, if you take vision, we will teach them how to do good observation, how to recognize things, how to have good perception skills, reading, preparing and reading pictographs, locating things visually. Then under hearing, we will teach them about listening skills, music skills, acoustic skills, how they are important to being enterprising. Under speech, in the enterprise education syllabus that we have drawn up, there's a lot of effort made to improve the children's oral communication, their public speaking skills, debating skills, inquiry skills, and negotiation skills. So we actually get them into small groups to perform these various tasks and help them to develop these skills. What did this is an interesting one. This is another message which we try to pass on to the children when we do this enterprise education. We tell them to depend a lot on their past experiences. Because when we were conducting our experiments in NCETI, Self-Employment Training Institute, they were all 10th standard children, you know, passed or just failed or something like that. So they have come, because they have failed, so they have come for vocational skills. That is not a situation which I like very much. In Germany, you do vocational education because it's a very respectable thing to do. You do vocational education and skills education because you are a very intelligent person. So I remember I had gone to a very senior executive of Philips. He invited me to his home, and I was talking to his young son, who was hardly about 14, 15, 16 in the school, and asked him what is he studying, and he said, so carpentry. I got a shock. I said, हमारे यहाँ कोई बोलेगा मैं carpentry सीख रहा हूँ तो उसको थू छीछी करेगा. But there it is considered very respectable. So there, Germany is very strong in its skills education. Anyway, I have drifted from the topic. Correlation with past experience means we tell the children when they when you see them in the MCET Hadapsa that first of all, why are you not feeling good? Oh sir, वो fail हो गया. हमने कहा तुम एक काम करो, वो certificate कौन सा लेके आओ मेरे पास. उसको फाड़ के फेंक दो. Throw away that certificate. He said there is one university in which you have studied and you have passed with flying colors already. कौन सी university है साहब? Your life university. So correlating all the knowledge you have got in your life from the past and making it useful to your life is what we try and teach under enterprise education. So we help them interpret their own life and see how it can be used. So this is correlation and interpretation. There is only one left. We'll also try to, we have designed our course material such that they will take intellectual activities also, their skills for intellectual activities like decision making, analyzing situations, formulating plans, compiling data, analyzing structures of organization, brainstorming, and the last one is anahat. Can anyone hazard what is the meaning of anahat here? I'm not using it in the spiritual sense of anahat, but anahat. Had means limit and anahat means something way beyond limit. Can anyone try to write an answer? What he means? Sixth sense. Okay, good, good. Mrudula, you should get gold medal. You are answering every question. Anybody else? Anita says intuition. Very good, Anita. Thank you. That's a good one. Hemant Mahajan, unsensed. Okay, I'm still not clear what that is, but it's a good effort. Okay. Anybody else would like to hazard? Ravindra Poddar says breaking own limits. Okay, Ravindra. Ravindra, that's a good one. Sita ji, same thing. Prashant says limitless. Okay. Good, good. All of you have got it very well. Got it very well. Thank you very much. But anahat really means, you are right, limitless, sixth sense, or whatever it is. Let me just give a very quick example. It's now 5:40. I have to finish under 20 minutes. I think I should manage it. There is these chappals which are made in a place called Kolhapur in India, in south of Maharashtra. But they are made also in larger quantities just across the border in Karnataka, in a place, in another small village there. And those chappals are very good. They are fantastic. So they were so good that ACID, an NGO in Bangalore, they said, we'll help you in marketing. And they put those chappal designs on their website. And they got orders from Paris. And those Paris people started giving their own orders because these people are making very creative designs. Suddenly they started making wedding trousseaux. And they did so well that one day a television team came from Germany to capture who is this fantastic people making such beautiful sandals for us. So this artisan was just working something, talk, he was doing. So the TV crew asked him, where did you take the training for this? Which leather institute? So this fellow says, what leather institute? We are 4th standard pass. Nobody even allows us to enter a leather institute. We just learn it from our families. Oh, okay. Then he asked, how do you make such beautiful and creative designs? Show me a book in which the designs are given. So that fellow said, what do you book? We have no book. How do you know it? How do you make these designs? You just remember this answer, which will very much corroborate whatever our friends just now, participants had said. Sir, we close our eyes and we can see a design. We close our eyes and we can see a design. How do you like that answer? this capacity of thinking beyond the limit of your own normal senses is unheard. And this is what we try to develop in the children as a part of our enterprise education. Okay, I think I have covered most of the things. Yeah, everything I have covered. So these are the things which we hope, which we have designed into our system over there. And using this approach, okay, let me just again come. There were two things which I had said earlier: enterprise concepts, if you remember, and enterprise skills. These are the enterprise skills which I'm talking: thinking skills, then intellectual skills, visual skills, speaking skills, correlation skills. These are called enterprise education skills. Now, what are concepts? Okay, to explain the concepts, I have a chart over here which says conventional literacy 3 R's. R for the written word, read the written word, R to write the written word, and R is numeracy to solve maths problems. Am I right? Educationists. In enterprise literacy, which is the enterprise education which we are talking about, we talk of these same 3 R's, but in a slightly different definition. R, read the written word. We say, and also read the minds of people. Think about it. It's a very interesting statement. First R of enterprise literacy is read the written word, also read the minds of people. The second R is write the written word, but here for enterprise literacy, we'll call it write the plans creatively. And the third R is numeracy to solve maths. Here we'll say numeracy skills to compute for the small enterprise you have. So just we are tweaking the R's, 3 R's. I have one question to the participants. I find that I'm getting very inspired by them because they're answering all the questions very good. Just try to hazard one answer. How can you read the minds of people? And I don't want a spiritual answer. It has to be factual, scientific. And I'll give you a clue, then you can work on it. How can you read the minds of customers, for instance? Can anybody hazard a guess? By listening, by the behavior with body language, some of the answers that are coming in. By his body language, facial expressions, very good, very good. Very nice, very nice. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, okay. Observation of the body language. Okay, seeing at his eyes. Wonderful, wonderful. Communication skills. Okay, I'm very happy, very happy. Most of you have hit the nail on the head, observing his expressions, looking into his eyes, looking at his body language. Perfect, perfect. But in enterprise education, we also have a little structured method of learning how to read the minds of people. We call it market research. So you'll be surprised that you can teach market research to even small children. You don't have to send them into a big bad market at all. Just tell them to go around their own society and make a survey. How many people like sweet and how many people like sour? Full stop, or the salty things. And that's an example of a market survey they do. And they will come back with so many people like sweet and so many people like salt. And then you explain them the future further things. That this is called a questionnaire, this is called an analysis, this is called percentages, this is called graphs. And then if you were to decide to sell a product in your society, how many, what will you sell? Something like that. So similarly, business idea generation, then enterprise and community, understanding your community so that you can understand the minds of people around you. Yeah. Recruiting is one interesting module in enterprise education that we teach. Everybody teaches how to get recruited. That means give an interview. There's a very big fraternity available who can teach you how to give an interview. But does anybody teach you how to take an interview? In enterprise education, we make the children actually take interviews. Because then they have to decide what is the set of questions they have to ask so that they can understand the person who's sitting in front of them, whether he's capable of doing the jobs which he has in mind. So you see, it's a slightly different tweaking. That is reading the minds. Understanding the government organization. Many times I get flabbergasted because I don't understand the government organization. I don't understand how they work, and then I'm not able to function. But then we'll tell them, no, it is still important that you understand a government organization. Still important that you understand a business organization. For example, you must know that if you supply something into the business, then it will first go into incoming inspection, then it will go into stores. Then if it is approved, then you'll get your payment and things like that. So this is reading the minds of people. Okay, 5:45. I think I still have about 15 minutes, so let me quickly tell a very interesting anecdote. I want to thank again the participants who responded just now. Very beautiful responses. I was conducting this enterprise education class for a rural school. Imagine a rural school of India. About 50 students, about 8, 9, 10 were sitting in front of me. And one of my pet questions to start off discussion on enterprises, what do you think are the characteristics of an entrepreneur person? So everybody gives standard answers: self-confidence, ability to gather information, communication. मी असा प्रश्न विचारला एकदा एका शाळेमध्ये की एखाद्या उद्योजकाचे गुण काय असावे, तर सगळ्यांनी सांगितलं आत्मविश्वास असावा, त्याला लोकांशी बोलता यायला पाहिजे, हे झालं पाहिजे, ते झालं पाहिजे. ठीक आहे. And then there was a little girl sitting at the end of the class, and I asked her, "You have not talked." एक छोटी मुलगी बसली, तिला म्हटलं तू नाही बोललीस बेटा अजून काही, तुला काय? Can you imagine what answer she gave me? I'll first say it in Marathi and then I'll say in English. She said, मला वाटतं सर, आपल्या दुकानामध्ये आलेल्या माणसाच्या खिशात किती पैसे आहेत ते ओळखलं पाहिजे. I got a shock of my life. She said, sir, I think the biggest skill of an entrepreneur is that when somebody steps into your shop, you must be able to guess how much money he has got in his pocket. Because nowadays we have got credit card, but its amounts the same. You must be able to assess how much that person can afford. By just looking at him, the way he talks, the way he says. माझं का? नाही, बाकीचे panelists, please audio off करा. Please switch off your audio. The rest of the panelists for the moment, for some time. Okay. So this is what we mean by reading the minds of people. Then we have writing plans. For this, we have got modules like design plan, marketing plan, production plan, finance plan, global trade plan, and business plan. The numeracy skills for a business, I think all of you can guess it very well. Finance and accounting, costing, understanding the total economic entity of your village, and so on and so forth. So now we have seen what are the enterprise, these are the enterprise education concepts, and we have already seen by the function of the brain, what are enterprise education skills. So the last slide which I want to show before we move on to our panelists is this one. Who's talking, please? Any particular question? Dr. Pandey is there. Welcome, Dr. Milind Pandey, Pro Vice Chancellor, MIT World Peace University. Now,
very good evening to you, sir. Very good evening. I will talk in the latter stage.
Yeah, thank you, sir. This is the same funnel chart of education which you saw earlier, but slightly modified to show what we should do in enterprise. Now, what we are suggesting is that in the primary school itself, we should have a primary enterprise education, upper primary enterprise education. Then in the secondary and higher secondary, we can have this. I'm saying that these things don't exist today, and they will not also be accepted easily by everybody. But I have seen them actually existing in all the institutions which I have visited abroad. So from 8th to 12th, what we are suggesting is that apart from the general secondary, which we are all used to, give a greater emphasis to rural and vocational secondary education. Please give a greater, because people are going to get employment there only. It's not in that organized sector where they'll become, everybody thinks he'll become a big babu. No, the jobs are not there. In fact, after this corona, those existing jobs will also vanish, many of them. And new norms are going to be formed that the organizations will learn to work with a much smaller workforce now. So this, of course, this is a great work which is being done by PSS CIB. So I'm hoping that he may talk about this. So that is one of the thought processes we have got. Then secondary enterprise education is the one which we are going to focus on in our enterprise education awareness, and the further sessions will take, for the simple reason that there is no foundation today of primary and upper primary enterprise education like it exists in some of the developed countries. So at least in the secondary stage, let us introduce them to various enterprise education concepts, skills and methodologies, and see that they are slightly prepared, better prepared than before. Now, I've got a lot of details on what are these educational concepts that you can give, but I don't think today is the time for it. So just imagine that there are a lot of concepts which can be given. And you will be surprised that all this can be given in a very simple fashion. You don't have to have complicated books of Arthur and Turner and this fellow and that fellow from abroad. You can devise those things for your own thing. मी आता सांगायचा हा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे की आपल्या सेकंडरी एज्युकेशन मध्ये आपण उद्यमिताचं शिक्षण टाकावं. त्याच्याकरता सोपे सोपे छोटे छोटे अध्याय आम्ही तयार केलेले आहेत. ते तुम्ही मुलांना शिकवले तर हे ते लोक तयार होऊ शकतात उद्यमी म्हणून. Then there is also graduate enterprise education. Right now, I'm not focusing on it. This is more for engineering colleges, diploma colleges, but it usually goes with having a incubation center in the college, because at this stage, we go into much higher stages where they will actually implement enterprises. They will run an enterprise practically along with their education, make it successful. If it doesn't succeed, then also learn how to wind it up. So this is a requires much greater commitments. I know that several engineering colleges have now got entrepreneurship development cells as also incubation centers. So, but in our awareness, in our enterprise education sessions, the next 4 sessions, we'll focus more on the secondary enterprise education. So this is our plan which we are having in mind. Let me just stop sharing this slide and go back to the main slides. Okay, all this we have covered now. Good. So the further plan for the enterprise education sessions for us is that we are planning 5 sessions. The first session is this awareness session of 1.5 hours each. Out of the 25 odd chapters, we will take only some sample chapters over here. Each chapter has got 2 or 3 exercises. We will take 1 or 2 of them in the further sessions for people who sign up. So session 2 will be on existing enterprise skills, role of enterprise in Indian society. आम्ही आता पुढचा प्लॅन सांगतोय की आपण जर पुढचे सेशन्स घेतले तर पुढे अजून 4 सेशन्स घेणार आहोत. सेशन 2 मध्ये आपण एक्झिस्टिंग एंटरप्राइज स्किल्स, रोल ऑफ एंटरप्राइज इन इंडियन सोसायटी. सेशन 3 मध्ये बिझनेस आयडिया जनरेशन इन मार्केटिंग घेणार आहोत. सेशन 4 मध्ये डिझायनिंग प्रोडक्शन विलेज और टाउन एज अन इकॉनॉमिक एंटिटी. सेशन 5 मध्ये प्रिलिमिनरी बिझनेस प्लॅन, मग त्यांचे प्रेझेंटेशन्स, अवॉर्ड्स अँड सर्टिफिकेट डिस्ट्रीब्युशन असा प्लॅन आहे ढोबळपणे. But this plan is subject to whatever suggestions the educationists who are present here will give. We will definitely modify it depending on that. Now, a wonderful idea has come from an educationist who is among the panelists here, Sunita, that instead of teaching enterprise education as a separate subject, can we integrate enterprise education into the curriculum itself? It's a very good idea. For this, I have circulated a paper which was kindly shared by Dr. Chandramouli Pathakji, Ideas for Infusing Entrepreneurship Across the Curriculum. It has been sent to all the attendees who have signed up. So you should have got it. If you go into read it, you'll find the perfect example of whatever is required. So it shows you that how you can integrate enterprise education into social science, history, geography, how enterprise education can be integrated into science, how it can be integrated into performing arts, into maths, and language. I will take only one example of language, and then I'll move on. Let me ask a question to, again, the participants over here. If you're asking a child of, let's say, 5th or 6th standard to write an essay on elephant, what will be your question? Can anybody try to frame a question and post it? I'll wait for about 10-15 seconds. Elephant. What is the question that you will ask? Oh, where is my gold medalist Mrudula gone? She's not responding. Okay, Rajendra. E for, okay. What is the best use of an elephant? That is another remark. Good. Anything else? Rajan has said. Good. Anybody else? Describe the elephant in your words. Very good. Write a short essay describing elephant. Okay. Write about a huge animal. Describe elephant in 10 sentences. Let me stop there. Very good responses. Very good responses. This is the normal method we will go about. I will show you an enterprise education method where you are exercising the creative part of the brain. See, all these methods are okay because that is how we operate. In the creative thinking method, I have seen this question actually being posed by school. Can you please switch off your microphone, please? I've actually seen this question being posed. Now listen to this very carefully. The question is as follows to the child of 8 or 10-year-old. Imagine that you're going back from school. Imagine that you're going back from school, and on the way you meet a baby elephant that has lost its way and somehow come out there. You and your friends take that baby elephant home. The question is, how will you convince your mother to keep the baby elephant at home? प्रश्न असा आहे की तुम्हाला एक छोटं हत्तीचं पिल्लू रस्त्यावर सापडतं, तुम्ही ते घरी नेता, तुम्ही त्या आईला कसं कन्व्हिन्स कराल की हे हत्तीचं पिल्लू घरी ठेवून घ्या? Now what do you think will happen? The child has to think something different. He is going to give the same answer. की हा एवढा मोठा असतो, त्याचा रंग काळा असतो, तो असं खातो, ते तसं करतो, याव करतो, त्याव करतो, हे आहे. But he is going to answer it in a very creative way. This is what is meant by reimagining your curriculum for entrepreneurship. Okay. What happened? Sorry. I had sent one sheet, exercise sheet to all the participants. Did you receive it? Can anybody say yes if you have received it? Any of the attendees? Yes. Thank you. Yes. Sita Naikwar Naudi says yes. Good. Thank you. Thank you. So people have received it. This is one example of how an enterprise education lesson looks. I would request the participants that this is called riding your hobby horse. It is designed for 8th, 9th, 10th students, standard students. It says that list minimum 3 hobbies. You can even do 1 hobby. And all these exercises are to be done by a group. And then identify what is the product enterprise you can do in that hobby. For example, it says painting, you can draw and sell paintings. Service enterprise you can do with your hobby. For example, signboards is a service enterprise with painting. And what trading business you can do with that hobby. Has any participant attempted this question? And can you write down just one enterprise? Please post it for us. Your hobby and what enterprise you can do with it. Would anyone like to try? Give you 10-15 seconds. One hobby of yours and what enterprise you can do out of it. Hobby reading library. Okay. He has a hobby. Akshay has a hobby of reading books. So he can say selling books, library. Very good, Akshay. Very good. Thank you. Anybody else wants to try? Jay Prakash says storytelling to children. Okay. Good, good. Gardening, sell plants. Okay. Organic farming. Good. So your gardening hobby can be turned into organic farming business. Very good. Good. I'm getting good answers. So this wanted farming and okay. How are you? Okay. So on and so forth. Listening to music is a hobby. Cycling is a hobby. Okay. Good. So please work on this from now till whenever we meet next. So many people have put down their hobbies, dancing and listening to music. Basketball, one has said, and he says that I can become a coach. So you see so many ideas come. In not more than 15-20 seconds, we've got at least 10 enterprises right in front of us or more than that. So imagine if the whole lot of you start writing enterprises, what you will have. Cooking food, somebody says, yeah. Good, good. Somebody says, my hobby is drawing, so I can do something in architecture. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, friends. You've done me a great favor. Now we are almost at 6 o'clock. I had decided that I should close by 6 so that the other experts who are here can also talk. I wanted to tell you, आम्ही एक poll म्हणतात त्याला, poll आहे इथे. Polling means there are some questions which we are asking you, which you have to answer towards the end of the webinar. So I will start the poll now, but you can keep answering them as and when you get time. So आम्ही एक polling सुरू करतोय. And in that the questions are, did the enterprise education session give you some useful information? It will have some options over there. Would you like to attend a 4 days, each day 1.5 hour training session on webinar mode? in detail about enterprise education, you have to again say yes, no, etc. तीसरा प्रश्न ही जो चले, would you like children at home to be a part of the further webinar training sessions? तुमच्या मुलांना तुम्ही ह्याच्यात शामिल करून घेऊ इच्छिता का? Why I am saying would you like children? Because they are the targets finally. The teachers and parents who are attending today are only people whom we are making aware, but final target is the children. And we always conduct these exercises when we do in classroom in groups of 4 or 5. So, and since it is not possible due to the lockdown for people to come together, you can form groups at home with your children and just log on to one laptop and still be a part of the session. So my question there is, would you like children to be with you? Would you like to contribute ideas on how to integrate the enterprise education concepts into your regular academic lessons? There are options over there. Share one or more ideas how your regular school lesson could incorporate enterprise education. What is your language preference? Then I have also asked what is your day preference and time preference. So I'm starting the polling now. Don't have to answer immediately. Take your time. Okay. I've launched the poll. You can keep answering it as and when you find time. What happened? Okay.